My husband ignored me after childbirth until a male nurse said, if she were mine, I'd hold her hand. He lost it. I'd been in labor for 19 hours when our daughter finally arrived. The epidural didn't work right, so I felt everything. Every single contraction, every push, all of it. My husband Brian sat in the corner chair the whole time, not next to me, not holding my hand, just sitting there scrolling through his phone. When I screamed during the worst contractions, he'd look up for a second, then go back to whatever he was doing. The nurses kept giving him these looks, but he didn't notice. After Emma was born, they placed her on my chest. I was crying and shaking from exhaustion. The doctor was stitching me up because I'd torn pretty bad. Brian, come meet your daughter, I said, my voice barely working. He stayed in his chair. I can see her from here. The nurses exchanged glances. One of them, this older woman named Patricia, walked over to him. Dad, don't you want to cut the cord? Nah, I'm good. You guys do it. I felt so alone lying there. This was supposed to be this magical moment we'd share together. Instead, I was bleeding and crying while my husband sat 10 feet away like he was waiting for a bus. They moved me to a recovery room around midnight. Brian followed behind, still on his phone. He sat in the corner again. Same chair, different room. Emma wouldn't stop crying. She was hungry, and I was trying to figure out breastfeeding for the first time. My hands were shaking from exhaustion. Brian, can you help me? I can't get her to latch. He didn't even look up. Just call the nurse. That's what they're here for. I pressed the call button. A male nurse came in, younger guy, maybe 30, with kind eyes. His name tag said, Marcus. What's going on, mama? He asked. She won't eat. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Marcus spent 20 minutes helping me, adjusting Emma's position, showing me different holds, being so patient and gentle. The whole time, Brian sat there staring at his phone. You're doing great, Marcus said. First time is always the hardest. Emma finally latched. I started crying from relief and exhaustion and hormones and everything. That's when Marcus turned to Brian. Hey man, your wife just went through something incredible. She could probably use some support right now. Brian looked up annoyed. She's fine. The baby's fine. What more does she want? Marcus walked over to Brian's chair. If she were mine, I'd hold her hand. That's the bare minimum, brother. Something in Brian's face changed. He stood up fast, getting right in Marcus's face. What did you just say to me? I said your wife needs you, and you're sitting here like you're waiting for an oil change. Brian's jaw clenched. You don't know anything about me or my family. I know she just pushed a human being out of her body while you played on your phone. I know that. The room got really quiet. Even Emma stopped fussing. Brian looked at me for the first time in hours. Really looked at me. I must have looked awful. Hair soaked with sweat, eyes red from crying, barely able to sit up. Get out, Brian said to Marcus. Excuse me? Get out of our room, now. Marcus held up his hands. I'm just trying to help your wife, man. Nobody asked you to comment on my marriage. Leave before I call security. Marcus looked at me and I nodded. He left quietly. The second the door closed, Brian exploded. Who does that guy think he is, telling me how to treat my own wife? He was right, I whispered. What? Everything he said. You've been on your phone this entire time. You didn't hold my hand once during labor. You won't even look at your daughter. Brian started pacing. I'm processing, okay? This is a lot for me too. You're processing? Brian, I just spent 19 hours pushing our baby out. You're processing? He stopped pacing. For a second, I thought he might actually hear me. Instead, he grabbed his jacket. I need some air. This is too much. He walked out, just left me there, alone with a newborn I didn't know how to take care of. Marcus came back 10 minutes later. I'm really sorry about that. I shouldn't have said anything. No, you should have. Someone needed to. He helped me get Emma settled in the bassinet, showed me how to swaddle her properly, made sure I had water and knew how to use the call button. Your husband coming back? He asked. Eventually. You deserve better than eventually. Brian didn't come back until morning. He never apologized for leaving, just walked in with coffee for himself and acted like nothing happened. 2 days later, we went home. Brian carried the car seat, but I carried everything else. My stitches hurt so bad I could barely walk. At home, he went straight to the TV. I handled every diaper, every feeding, every crying session by myself. When I asked for help, he'd say he was tired from work. He hadn't worked in 3 days. 6 weeks later, I filed for divorce. My mom asked if I was sure, if maybe I was just emotional from postpartum hormones. Mom, he left me alone in a hospital room hours after giving birth because a nurse told him to hold my hand. She didn't argue after that. Marcus probably doesn't remember me, just another patient in another room. But his words changed everything. If she were mine, I'd hold her hand. I decided I deserved someone who wouldn't need a stranger to remind them of that.